Tennessee Tech head coach Dwayne Alexander, the Golden Eagles rallied to take a lead over Murray State, but fell just short 36-31 last week. They're going to go to Eastern Illinois. That is Sunday at 1 on ESPN Plus. So, Coach, just thoughts on your team, and then we'll go into some questions.
Well, I was very proud of our football team. Being an alum of Tennessee Tech, I told our players, I played here at Tennessee Tech back in the 80s. I coached here. And if I would have just been an alum and came to the game and bought a ticket and sat in the stands on a Sunday afternoon to watch the Golden Eagles play, I would have come away very proud. I was proud of how hard our guys played and how resilient they've been. We've had 3 football games in a row that we have, fallen behind, 14-0, 14-3. In the game against Murray State, we throw a pick 6, we're down 7-0, and responded with a 16-play drive. So, our guys have hung in there. We were down 30-14 at one point in the game and come back to take the lead 31-30. So, I'm very proud of the effort our football team has been playing with, how hard they've been playing. Their attitude has been tremendous. Their approach to practice, has been, something I've been very proud of. But right now we're still making too many mistakes to win football games. We have had 9 turnovers in the last 2 football games, and I don't know that I've coached a team in a long time that's had, that many turnovers. It's hard to win. I don't care who you're playing at any level, but you're certainly not going to win OVC football games whenever you turn the football over that many times. And really, that was the difference in this ball game on Sunday. It was a hard-fought, well-played game by both teams. If you were just a fan, Adam mentioned that, and you asked that question just previously, about watching games and how hard the guys are playing on both sides. But gosh, what a ton of big plays in the game against Murray State. They had an 82-yard and a 73-yard interception return, which you don't hardly ever see in college football games. We had a 39-yard punt return with 6 minutes left in the game, 5 minutes to take the lead 31-30. There was a 57-yard field goal made by their kicker. There was just a ton of plays made in the game, and exciting game, a lot of energy, from both teams. And credit to Dean Hood and the Murray State staff for their guys, how physical that they're playing and how hard that they're playing. I was pleased. They came into the game as the leading rushing team in the OVC. They had made a big commitment to run the football under Coach Hood and to be a physical running football team, and we were able to hold them to right at 100 yards rushing. We held their back to 39 yards. So it was a point of emphasis for us was to improve our run defense, which we did in this particular game. And we wanted to be able to run the football, and we did. We averaged 4.6 yards a carry. We had 187 yards rushing. Our quarterback had 103 yards rushing. Our running back had 90 yards rushing. We averaged, like I said, 4.5 a carry, had a couple of rushing touchdowns. So we certainly improved in those areas. Our operations, Willie Miller's had to step in and play quarterback for Bailey Fisher, who's been injured, who got injured in the Jacksonville State game. This was Willie's first college start. And, you could tell we had an open date and he had a whole week to practice. He was really kind of thrown in the fire in the middle of the game at Jacksonville State. And he really responded well. He had a great week of practice and, efficiently as far as operation of the offense. We cut down on our pre-snap penalties. We only had 2 for the game, which that had been an emphasis for us in the previous game. He played very well. He was 17 out of 29 for 213 yards. He had, rushing touchdown. He had a 25-yard run, an 18-yard run. He had 100 yards rushing. He's really an electric player. And, he had a couple of throws he'd like to have back. He had 2 that, went back the other way, and those you certainly can have. But, for a first game, being a college starter and playing as a sophomore in his first game, I couldn't have been more proud of him. And, we've had to overcome a couple of injuries, and guys are stepping up in there and playing hard. And, like I said, we've just got to play better. You can play hard, but you got to play well in this league. You got to play. That's a given. You're going to have to go out and play with effort and play hard. And we're getting that, but you've still got to, you got to play solid and play well. And I was really pleased with how our guys held themselves in the locker room after the game. They were disappointed. They were hurt, but there's resolve about them to roll up their sleeves and go back to work. And you got another conference game this week. You can't have your lip poked out and feel sorry for yourself too long, or you're going to turn around and, it's a dogfight every week. We've got to get on the bus and go to EIU, which is our longest trip. It's 6.5 hours. So we've got a long trip to make and going to have to turn around and go to SEMO the next week. So we have and then turn around on a short week and play on a Saturday against TSU. So we certainly have our hands full here coming up with travel and turn around to play. But our guys are ready for it. We're excited to get back to work. We're going to practice tonight. We're on spring break. And I told our guys, instead of going to Florida, we get an all-expense paid trip to Charleston, Illinois. So we're going to get excited about that. And maybe Adam will plant a couple palm trees out there somewhere for us near O'Brien Field. But we're going to get on the bus Saturday morning, go up, have a great trip, and go up. And I know it's going to be a hard-fought football game. A ton of respect for Coach Cushing and how he's approaching things and what he's doing. I really see a lot of what we did with our program here whenever I got here, of trying to transition, and turn it around and really build it on a firm foundation and not take shortcuts. And so anytime you build something the right way, it does not happen overnight. It takes time. It is a day in and day out process of doing things. That's what we're doing here at Tennessee Tech. We are, and I told our guys, I shared with them in the team meeting last night, a marathon is 26.2 miles, and studies show that the average marathon runner drops out at the 21st mile. Now think about that. At 21 miles, they run 21 miles, and that's when they decide to pack it in, when they're almost to the finish line. I feel really good about the progress of our program and where we're at, and we're beating good football teams. We're playing in some close games. We're not consistently finishing games on the scoreboard. We are so close to doing it, and we're going to keep our sleeves rolled up and keep both oars in the water and keep working. And we're excited to go back to work and to go play this week.
If anybody has a question for Coach, let me know down the chat. I'm going to ask this one first, though. You mentioned the turnovers and mistakes. Is that a combination of being young, being in the spring and not have as much practice time, or is it neither and just things that you can just correct, but as we go through this
I think you
season?
look across FCS football, one thing I've talked about and our staff's talked about, I think you look across football, the spring football, especially the first couple games, I think it was better this week. We were better this week offensively from a procedural standpoint, but offense is a lot of timing. There's a lot of timing. There's a lot of rhythm to offense. There's a lot of just execution of little fundamental details. Not that there's not on defense, but defense, you always usually just in spring practice in general and fall camp in general, your defenses are usually a little ahead of your offenses, because offense requires so much timing and so many working parts and pieces, especially if you're having to move around guys in the offensive line and, due to injuries or COVID things and guys in and out of the lineup and all those type things. I think you see offenses, the early games, we're a little bit behind. There wasn't a ton of just, I look at the Murray-Semo game. One team had 185 yards. One had 270. There was turnovers in the game. There was a 14-13. The Murray UT Martin game. Not typically in this league here. There's what I call Madden scores. There's a lot of 40 and 50-point games. And you've not seen that here early on. I think offenses were better this week and got in more rhythm. I know we were much better, much more efficient. We ran 70 plays. We had 400 yards, so we had a solid offensive day. But I think you're, Kyle, where you're at there, I think offense is, just some of those, detail things and timing and rhythm. I think it's taken everybody a little bit of time, practice time. There's a lot of things that go into that. I think to get weather certainly played a factor in some early games. We played 2 games, and I mean, gale force winds, of 25, 30 miles an hour. That certainly affects things, offensively. So I think, it's a combination of all those things, but I think you will continue to see the offenses improve as the spring season continues to progress here over the next 5 weeks.
We're going to go to Barry, who's with Prairie State Pigskin. He's got a couple questions for you, Coach.
Okay.
Hi, good morning, Coach. I wanted to ask you a little bit about, Adam said that his team is a young team that's getting closer each week and getting closer. What impresses you about what you've seen from Eastern so far?
Well, the thing that impressed me from the time that Adams got here to the first time we competed against them is just how hard they play. I mean, their guys play hard. They play the game the right way. Their guys play hard. They play physical, but, at the end of the play, the end of the game, they take care, handle themselves the right way. Just a lot of respect for, and they're a reflection of their coach, of how they handle themselves, how they do things. They're competitive. Adam, like myself, is a former offensive line coach. I think offensive line coaches are, by nature, you have to be. You're disciplined people. You're detail oriented. That's what offensive line coaches are. They expect some toughness. They expect you to be smart. Those are all things you look for, especially in all positions, but especially offensive linemen. You got to have those ingredients to be a good offensive lineman. You got to be smart. You got to be tough. You got to be disciplined, and you got to be detail oriented and fundamentally sound and technique sound. That's what offensive line coaches preach. And that's really my approach to being a head coach and the type football teams that I want to put on the field. And Adam's the same way. He wants to put hard-nosed, tough, fundamental football teams out there. And that's what I see in EIU. And when you do that, you know, you commit yourself to those things. Those are all great things to commit yourself to, being tough and being disciplined and being detailed, being fundamentally sound. The scoreboard will start taking care of itself. You don't know when that's going to happen, but it will. There's no shortcuts to it. He's tried to do it the right way, build it the right way. He is doing that there. And that's what impresses me whenever I watch them on tape and film.
And Coach, for the first time since Jimmy Garoppolo in 2010, Eastern started a true freshman quarterback last week. I wanted to ask you about the challenge of facing a quarterback who you only have maybe one game of film on or you don't know a lot about.
Well, that is a challenge. And I think much like, you know, I was here as an assistant coach with Mike Hennigan back in 1997 and 98 and in the early 2000s. And I got to see Tony Romo in person and coach. And then I was here with Watson Brown and saw Jimmy Garoppolo. We went up there and played at EIU, you know, his last year, his senior year. And goodness gracious, I hope this guy don't develop like those two guys did, but I believe he's got potential to do that. He's certainly a very good player. And, you know, he has the ability to, like the hardest, any coach will tell you, the hardest quarterbacks to defend are the ones that can beat you with their arm and their feet. You know, they can keep plays alive and they can make all those, what I call off schedule plays. I mean, you can design plays and you can call them, but you know, there's the difference maker quarterbacks find a way. You can take that play sheet and put it in your back pocket and they make 5 to 8 plays a game that's not on your play sheet, you know, and Bailey Fisher has certainly been that guy for us. And Willie Miller was that guy, you know, this past weekend. We have 2 quarterbacks that are, and I wanted it. We purposely recruited guys that are the same. I mean, you don't want to have to change your whole offense if you have a quarterback injury. You know, you want to make sure that we're not going to have to, well, let's put in some quarterback runs this week, or let's change what we're doing, or more drop back stuff. You know, really, we're going to run the offense that we run. We want quarterbacks that can can beat you with their feet and with their arm. And, you know, Willie was able to do that this past week. He was, you know, had some tremendous throws, some big passes they can run, and their quarterback's the same way. He will only get better. It's like all freshman quarterback. He's going to make some exciting plays, you know, and he's going to make some freshman plays, you know, at time. But the key there is he's going to make some plays. You know, he certainly has a lot of ability, and that's something we'll have to prepare for. And to me, that's the hardest thing defensively to prepare for, is whenever you have to prepare for a guy to, you know, way you pass rush, when you're going to blitz, you know, all those things. A guy that's got that dynamic of running the football, you know, certainly concerns you.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
Coach, we appreciate this morning. Best luck on Sunday. We'll talk to you again next week.
Okay, Kyle. Thank you.